Welcome to the deep dive. We are pulling the curtain back today on, well, a really high-stakes world. Think nuclear defense, a secret serum, and the guy tasked with protecting it all. He basically hates secrets, institutions, and definitely commitment.
Right. Our sources give us this really intensive look at Trace O'Hurley. He's this highly effective but, deeply cynical agent for the ISS, the International Security System. And the scenario we're diving into, it's a perfect study in character, isn't it? What happens when a rogue operative, someone desperate for retirement, gets forced into one last mission?
And it's a mission driven by vengeance, no less, pulled in by a scientist who carries the secret to global immunity, literally inside her head.
It sounds like fiction, but it's all there in the sources.
Yeah. We're detailing Trace's mission. It's ostensibly to rescue a physicist, Dr. Flynn Fitzpatrick, and his young daughter, Caitlin, from this terrorist group called Hammer. But our mission today, it's bigger than just the plot, right? We want to unpack the really complex ethical baggage of this forgotten military science project, codenamed Horizon.
And analyze the true cost of Trace's journey. His transformation, really, from this professional killer persona to, well, something else entirely.
A family man, maybe? It seems unlikely given where he starts.
Exactly. So to understand the agent, Trace, you really have to understand his exile first. Trace O'Hurley, the guy who becomes Il Gatto the cat for the ISS, he started out performing.
In a touring troupe, the O'Hurleys. Sounds kind of glamorous, maybe.
Not really. It was him, his father Frank, and his triplet sisters Abby, Maddie, and Chantel. But our sources paint it as pretty grueling. Low-stakes reality, not a bohemian dream.
And Trace absolutely hated it. That's clear. He wasn't just running from the stage. It felt like he was running from a lie,
Yeah, the sources mention his resentment over playing, quote, second-rate songs in second-rate clubs.
While his father, Frank, is demanding total compliance. Your responsibility is to the troupe. Trace just saw his dad dictating his life, chasing this hopeless dream of stardom.
And that confrontation, that's kind of the root of his cynicism, isn't it? When Trace finally walks out, Frank tells him, flat out, don't come back.
Ouch! But his mother, Molly, played a really interesting role here.
She did. Quietly enabling. She didn't fight Frank. She told Trace to leave quick and clean before Frank could use his charm or maybe shame to pull him back in.
So he walks with, what was it, $327 and a harmonica.
Yeah, basically the tools of the life he was rejecting. Symbolic, right?
Totally. And he drifts
Right.
across Asia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Tokyo, still playing music to get by.
But his life pivots, not because of some grand plan, but almost by accident.
Well,
A bar brawl in Tokyo.
he steps in to protect another American.
Exactly. Agent Charlie Forrester.
Yeah.
It wasn't espionage, it was just instinct. But that act of protection, that's his doorway into the ISS.
And where he earns the name Il Gatto, the cat. Because he's silent, efficient,
Uh,
deadly.
Right. Fast forward 12 years from that point.
Mhm.
We find Trace in Merida, Mexico. He's trying to retire.
He's physically wounded too, isn't he? There's mention of a bullet near his heart.
Yeah, recovering from that. And emotionally wounded, too. He's mourning Charlie Forrester, his mentor, his friend whose death the ISS officially called a stroke.
But Trace suspects otherwise, maybe?
Well, he's definitely grieving.
Yeah.
Sitting in his cantina trying to, cash out his identity, trade the cynicism for a hammock somewhere warm.
And that's exactly when the past comes knocking, hard.
The perfect entry point for the crisis. Let's talk about the science he gets dragged back into. Project Horizon.
Right. 15 years earlier, this was a huge failed military project. Millions spent.
The goal was to create a serum to immunize against ionizing radiation injury. Basically, a defense against nuclear war fallout. The ultimate what-if shield.
But it failed. Until Dr. Sean Brady Fitzpatrick, a wealthy, brilliant physicist, revived the research, quietly.
According to the sources, he saw it as an answer to the insanity of the nuclear threat, not a weapon. He actually manages to perfect the formula.
Which makes him and his family the ultimate target. Priceless.
Absolutely. And that's what brings Dr. Fitzpatrick's daughter, Gillian, also a scientist, to Trace's cantina in Merida.
Because her brother, Dr. Flynn Fitzpatrick, the one who continued the work, and his little girl, Caitlin, just 6 years old.
They've been kidnapped by Hammer, this terrorist group led by a figurehead, General Hussad. But the real power is this woman, Candace. They want that final, perfected Horizon formula.
And Trace. He wants nothing to do with it, describes himself as tired, dirty, drunk.
He resists hard. He even throws up a price barrier. Gillian offers him $100,000 from a trust fund.
Enough for his retirement dream, right? The honey-skinned women in hammocks in the Canary Islands, he thinks maybe he can just buy his way out of this mess.
But the money, It's almost irrelevant. It's a smokescreen. The real turning point, what our sources call the aha moment.
Is when Gillian tells him the truth about Charlie Forrester.
Exactly. His supposed stroke, it was murder. Staged by Hammer agents who were actually looking for her, for Gillian. Agents Trace barely missed encountering himself.
And suddenly, the $100,000 means nothing.
Nothing. It hits his deepest loyalty, his connection to Charlie. The one man who really saw him, mentored him. His motivation flips instantly, from mercenary escape to cold, hard revenge.
That completely changes the dynamic, doesn't it? Because now he's in. But Gillian isn't just the client anymore.
No, she's the key. The sources are very clear. She has the final, crucial notes for Horizon, stored via photographic memory.
Wow. So she is the formula, essentially. She destroyed all the physical copies.
That's right, which gives her incredible leverage, even against the ISS, when Captain Addison demands she hand over everything.
She gives them doctored notes?
Precisely.
Oh, hey.
Calmly hands over fakes, protecting the real data that only exists in her head. It's a brilliant move. It keeps the world's most dangerous secret out of institutional hands, the very institutions Trace despises.
Okay, so Trace is back in the game, fueled by revenge. Let's talk about his methods, the tradecraft of Il Gatto.
Right. He immediately dives back into his operational mode. Multiple covers. His main one here is Andre Cabot, this subtle, plausible arms dealer persona.
And his first move is pretty risky, using Gillian as bait.
Yeah, at the Mayan ruins of Uxmal. He needs to draw a hammer out, see who he's dealing with. The sources emphasize, though, that while the ambush works tactically,
She gets hurt, nicked with a knife.
exactly, a clear signal of the danger she's in, and maybe a hint of the stakes for Trace, too.
His whole approach seems built on isolation, paranoia even.
Definitely.
Yeah.
He activates his network, but carefully. There's Colin, who's actually Rory back in Ireland, handling flight paths.
And his contacts in Casablanca.
Right, the fence, Al-Aziz, and this underworld figure, Desiree. He uses them to set up the crucial meeting with Hammer.
But he doesn't trust the official channels, does he? Acquiring backup weapons independently.
That really stands out. He gets extra arms from someone named Bakir, completely separate from the ISS shipment. He trusts no one, not even his own agency.
Which brings us to Code Blue. That sounds ominous.
It is. It's the ISS protocol. If an agent like Trace is compromised, it means they won't just disavow him.
They'll erase him.
Literally unmake his existence. Every record, every trace, gone. As if he never existed.
Living under that kind of threat, how does that affect someone?
It fundamentally shapes everything.
Yeah.
You operate knowing your life, your identity, is completely disposable to the organization you serve. It explains his detachment, or at least his attempt at it.
But detachment seems impossible on this mission, mainly because of Gillian.
Absolutely. There's this huge philosophical clash between them, isn't there? She's the scientist who believes in the potential good of knowledge.
She sees Horizon purely as a defense, a promise of life, not a threat. She thinks, in her hands, the science is moral.
And Trace, the killer who's seen humanity's worst. He challenges that idealism directly.
He uses the Manhattan Project analogy, right? Asking the core question, who decides who gets the serum, Gillian?
Yeah. He doubts any organization, even the supposedly neutral ISS, can wield that kind of power justly. He basically argues that big scientific breakthroughs, they always get weaponized.
It's cynicism versus hope, played out between these two incredibly intense people.
And that intellectual conflict bleeds right into their personal relationship. It's volatile, confusing.
He keeps pushing her away, doesn't he? Saying things like, I'm no good for you, or I'm the most dangerous man you'll ever meet. Classic lone wolf stuff.
But Gillian's persistent. She's strong, not easily scared off. And Trace finds that, well, the sources say addictive. His resistance starts to crumble.
Because maybe he's running from connection itself, not just danger.
That seems to be the underlying current. The emotional stakes get incredibly high just before the final confrontation.
So Trace uses his Andre Cabot cover to get inside Hammer's base in Morocco, a mountain stronghold.
And the leadership dynamic is confirmed. Candace is the real brains, the power. General Hussad is just the mad figurehead.
But then Trace gets devastating news.
Horrifying. Gillian's been captured too, drugged by a waiter at her hotel, apparently orchestrated by Candace.
So now she's trapped inside the base with her niece, Caitlin. But she doesn't just wait for rescue.
No, the sources show her fighting back. She wakes up, finds Caitlin, figures out the food is drugged or poisoned when a guard comes in.
She uses an empty plate.
An empty plate. In the dark, she fights him, and she kills him.
That's a huge moment for her character, the idealist forced into brutal action.
Profound. The text notes her thought. I killed a man with my own hands. Any illusion of academic distance is just shattered. She's compromised now, just like Trace.
Then the rescue mission kicks off. Trace and his ISS contact, Bryant's, lead the assault.
Trace finds Gillian, but in the chaos, the gunfire. Gillian, who's grabbed a rifle.
She accidentally shoots him.
Yeah, in the shoulder.
Yeah.
Friendly fire, literally. But it doesn't derail the rescue.
And then there's an earthquake.
A real, actual earthquake hits right then. The mountain base collapses, killing Husad and Condesa. It's almost like nature itself cleanses the situation, removes the targets of Trace's revenge mission.
So Flynn, Caitlin, and Gillian are safe. And Trace, the guy who ran away from his family 12 years ago, he makes an unbelievable choice.
Instead of heading for those Canary Islands, he flies Gillian back to the U.S. For his sister Chantel's wedding in Los Angeles, he chooses to face his past.
Wow, talk about a turning point.
It leads directly to the climax of his personal arc, that long-overdue reconciliation with his father, Frank.
And Frank actually admits he was wrong.
He does, grieving the lost years, admits he needed Trace, regrets driving him away, and that honesty, it unlocks something in Trace.
He realizes he wasn't just running to something like retirement.
He was running from something, his need for family, for home. The source quotes his realization, "I need all of you. It's taking me too long to figure that out." The cynic finally admits he needs connection.
And Gillian sees this transformation happening.
He does, and she reminds him about Charlie Forrester's will. He inherited Charlie's house in Chicago. So it seems you have a home after all, she points out. The anchor isn't the place, it's the potential.
And then she proposes marriage.
She does. Asks him straight up if he can be content, if he can settle. And Trace, who wanted $100,000 for freedom, he accepts.
Choosing the messiness, the complexity of family and love over that simple, solitary hammock.
It's an incredible reversal.
So, looking back at this whole deep dive, what are the main takeaways for you?
Well, first, definitely the cost of knowledge. That horizon formula. Dr. Fitzpatrick ultimately decides to destroy it completely, refuses to replicate it even for the ISS. He saves humanity from its potential misuse.
That's huge. What else?
Second, the price of revenge. It was seeking justice for Charlie that pulled Trace out of his self-imposed isolation. He had to risk everything, trade his planned safety for his conscience.
Right. It set him on the path back to himself, in a way.
But maybe the most powerful takeaway is the ultimate reward for the cynic. Trace O'Hurley, this man defined by detachment, by his skill at killing, finds his real reward not in money or escape, but in building a home, accepting a family.
Realizing that fighting for something bigger meant fighting for the people right in front of him.
Exactly.
So Trace O'Hurley chooses the demanding, emotional complexity of marriage and instant family over the simple isolation he thought he craved.
The man who called himself a professional killer ends up heading towards, maybe not white picket fences, but certainly a house in Chicago.
Given his profound cynicism about, everything institutional, what does that final choice really tell us about the one thing he finally decided wasn't disposable?
Yeah, was he just swapping one kind of danger, the ISS, for another, maybe more complex one, a lifelong negotiation with love? Or did he genuinely find something real, something worth fighting for in that personal connection?
Something for you to mull over until our next deep dive.